in the head with depressed thoughts or anxious thoughts or just really busy thoughts, and we're kind of like manically whizzing around life, distracting ourselves from what's difficult. Or if we're completely lost in sort of dissociative thinking, then the feet can be a real friend to us, but we kind of need to develop the capacity to know how to use them and to remember to use them. So today, befriending the feet. Now when I say feet, you probably think, oh God, my feet, you know, and I just say that because having taught yoga for so many years, knowing so many students who've said, oh please don't make me take my socks off. And you know, feet can be problematic. They get covered in hard skin and they go all lumpy with bunions, toes go a funny shape, and some touch the floor, some cross over each other. Of course, athlete's foot, ugly toenails, and all sorts of issues and problems. And that's because the feet work so hard. If we think about it, since we were like, I don't know, 1.5 when we took our first steps, they've been in use a lot. And if they haven't, if you're in a wheelchair, then that's because they're not in use, they can't be in use. And either way, it's really important to see if we can take a bit of time, no hurry, but over a period of time to change our relationship to our feet and be grateful to them for what they have done and what they do, and maybe even what they're going to do in the future. So maybe just for fun we might dare take our socks off, but you don't have to if you don't want to, and get comfy. So if you want to be on a sofa, if you can sit further back, and if your knees allow, let your legs bend up and catch a hold of your foot. And just begin, so I'm keeping my socks on just at the moment, just begin with a bit of touch, just using the heel of your hand, your thumb pads and fingertip pads, just to give your foot a friendly squeeze. And if already the inner critic's kicking in and reminding you of how much you hate your feet, just like acknowledge the inner critic, and there's the other tape you can watch on the inner critic, and just like, oh yeah, you're here too, okay. And come back to this befriending, this capacity we all have to be kind to other people, and bringing that to our feet now. So squeezing, maybe pressing with the thumb or the fingertips, and just kind of working your way around the whole of your foot. And you might find some really uncomfortable places. And they do say in reflexology that's where we should press a bit more, but you know, we're not beating ourselves up here, but just seeing what's nice as you get to know your feet. And then what you can do, and you might have to take your sock off for that, is insert your fingers in between your toes. It's like weaving. And then once you've done that, you can take your ankle in a bit of a circle. So what we're doing here is getting to know the foot, getting to know the places where maybe there's damage, maybe we've had a broken bone or some ligament stresses over the years. And just kind of like, oh yeah, ow, that bit's a bit sore. So we just get to know the feet, one and then the other. And if you can't bend the knees to come up, is it possible to sit right forward on the sofa and bend forward? So you need to take your knees wide so that you can bend forward to reach down onto the floor to catch a hold of your foot. And you could do this down on the floor. So just squeeze the toes. And what we're doing, bringing a little bit of blood in. The nerve endings are waking up to feel touch. Just mobilizing the ankle, so weaving with the fingers into the toes, and then seeing with the heel on the floor if it's possible to make a circle. You can probably hear my feet cracking away nicely. And some of you might be able to bring the feet down like this, knees separate, and feel both feet together in this traditional yoga pose, although absolutely not necessary unless you want to do that. Okay, so once we've warmed the feet up, I want to come up to standing and just beginning to work a little bit with the feet. So if you bring your fingertips to the wall and bring the weight off one foot, just beginning to lift the heel and lower the heel. You give your toes a little toe massage. And you can take the weight, moving the knee out and in, all the way across the ball of the foot. You feel as you do that right to the little toe side, the nerve endings coming awake, the toes bending. And you can also bend the toes under. So toe pads flat to the floor and the toenails to the floor. One foot and the other foot. Lifting the heel, stretching the toes, letting the toes open if they can. And if they're not very keen on opening, using your fingers to spread the toes out. And toenails to the floor, stretch across the top of the foot. Being really interested in what you can feel in your feet as you do this, until you feel ready to see what it's like to balance. So lifting the heels, and sucking up on the calf muscles to make strength through the arches of the feet, and then letting the heels lower. Just repeating 2 or 3 times, lifting up and lowering. One more time, lifting up and lowering. And if the feet are stiff, maybe the heels are coming just a tiny way. And over time, practicing this once or twice a week maybe, you might find that you can lift the heels a little bit higher, so that you're just allowing yourself and your body to develop, to grow strong, to grow flexible, to grow wise, to be able to wake up the nerve endings. It can be quite fun to play about with the toes, to weave the toes this time. So crossing the big toe over the second toe, or crossing the second toe over the middle toe, and just seeing if it's willing to stay. The third toe over the fourth toe. Yeah, my one's not happy to do that. Third toe over the middle, fourth toe over the middle toe. That's not happening either. But just kind of increasing the flexibility around the toes and seeing what's possible. And after that, you can begin to notice the foot as you walk. So the heel comes down, and as the back heel lifts and the weight comes into the front foot, you begin to notice that the toes have to bend like that to push off to take the next step. So this foot is going through its full range of movement. And then the other foot. And if you've got a yoga mat or a little tiny expanse in your sitting room, you can just walk backwards and forwards 1 or 2 steps. And when we do this, when we really pay attention to sensations in the feet, we're just letting the attention move from up here in the head with everything that's busy, or here in the chest where the heart may be pounding, or here where you might be feeling that horrible clench. Just developing the capacity to feel the feet, to use the feet, taking a step to feel movement, or using balance to lift up and drop down, or even using a little bit of bounce. So you let your knees bend as you bounce. Can your shoulders drop? Can your jaw drop? You can do one leg and then the other. You can do both legs together. But you're just befriending the feet, letting the mind come down into the feet, bringing the attention down away from what's going on up here, finding the solidity of the earth. I hope that's helpful. I hope you'll enjoy working with your feet a little bit and developing this capacity.